Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Azzy. For the third part of my how to make frames on the ScanNCut, I'm going to show you how to make these two fun frames, the pumpkin frame and the present shaped frame. So let me show you how. Okay, for the pumpkin frame, we go into patterns, into this section, into here, and then page down and pick up the pumpkin. Say OK. It's this one here that we're after. Say OK and set it to the mat. And we want to change the size of the pumpkin to make the height 4.5 inches. So go into Edit, Object Edit, Resize and take the height up to 4.5 and say OK. And now we want to duplicate that. So if we just go into here, +1, say OK, move that down. So what we want to do here is we want to make the pumpkin as a whole, because as it stands, if we were to cut it out, it'll cut out the mouth and the eyes, etc. So from here we want to ungroup it, so tap that and then weld it. Say OK, and then we've got the whole pumpkin here. But this one here, we want the stalk as separate to add on to our frame so that we can cut it in whatever different, in different card or paper and the different colour. So here, what we want to do is go into here, ungroup it, tap the mat and take this part and that part away and delete those. And then we've got the stalk left, which will be the correct size to layer over there. So if we move this down here, and for this pumpkin here, we want to duplicate it 3 times. So if we go into here, take that up to 4 and say OK. So one of these we're just going to leave as it is, because that's going to be the back part of our frame. And these are the 3 base layers of our frame before we put the apertures in. For the aperture, if we go into OK, add, into patterns, basic shapes, and find a circle and set it to the mat. So we want to change the circle size down to 3 inches and say OK, and we want to copy that, so duplicate that circle, +1, say OK, and we want to take that down to 2.85 and say OK, copy that circle and take that one down to 2.65 and say OK. We want to put each circle within each pumpkin so that it looks like it's layered. So if we highlight this one first, move these 2 down, highlight that first, go into select, partial select, take the mat up, say OK, OK, arrows, alignment, and we just want to align them horizontally. Say OK. Then if we go into the magnifying glass and go into 400, just move that over, tap the screen, just here, just above that red box there, you'll see there's a notch on that pumpkin. So we just want to bring the round part, this part of the circle up to that notch. So if I take that up to there, we'll see there we go. And then what we want to do is literally count down 10 spaces. 10 and say OK. And then we just want to group those 2. Alignment, partial select, take the mat up, say OK, OK, Object, Edit and Group, and say OK. So that's our second layer of our pumpkin done, because we've got the first layer here. So if we take another pumpkin and the next circle, and we want to do exactly the same, so we want to center it first and then take it up to that notch and then count 10 down. So again, we want to go into Select, Partial Select, take the mat up, put it up enough, say OK, OK, arrows, alignment, horizontal, then we go to the magnifying glass, say 400, tap the mat, and again we want that circle to hit the edge of that notch first, like we can see it there, and then count down 10. And say OK, and then we want to group that. So again, go into there, Partial Select, OK, OK, Object, Edit and Group, and say OK. So that's the third layer of our pumpkin, sorry. And now for the final one, Partial Select, take the mat up, what's going on now? Say OK, arrows, alignment and horizontal, say OK, go into the magnifying glass, go into 200, tap the mat, and this time looks like we want to go down a bit. So there you can just see both the outer part of the circle and that notch just about touch each other, and again we just want to count down by 10 and say OK. And again we want to group those two, so go into Select, Partial Select, take the mat up, Object, Edit and Group, and say OK. So from here now we have already got our frame ready. So if you were going to put this into a journal or a diary or a folio, you wouldn't necessarily need this part of it because you'd already have a page that it's going to be stuck onto. But if you're going to do them separately, like a banner, or just have it hanging maybe off a tree or something, you'd want to have the back piece as well. So it just depends on how you're going to want to display it. So you've got the back piece here, and these will all layer on top of each other to give a layered look. So you've got the layering from the bottom, and the photo will sit around the top part of the pumpkin. So I'm going to save this to my ScanNCut. Oh, and the stalk as well, don't forget the stalk down here. Let's try and get that. Bring that up, and once I'm done I'll show you what I've made. For the present shaped frame, if we go into the patterns, go into this section here, into here, and pick up this present, say OK, and from here all we want is the bow shape for the actual present. We would use the box, but because it's a shape that's within the ScanNCut, it doesn't allow us to change the height and the width independently. So we're just going to get a square from the basic shapes and then change it to the size that we want it. So from here, if we pick up the bow, say OK, and set it to the mat. So the first thing we want to do is put into the orientation we're working in. So if we go into Edit, Object, Edit, and into here, and we just want to change it 90 degrees anti-clockwise so that it puts it into the right way that we're working in. Say OK, and then we want to resize the bow. So if we're going to resize and take the width up to 4 inches. and say OK. And now we want to duplicate the bow. So going to duplicate +1 and say OK, so that we can cut that out of fancy papers for what a ribbon would look like on a present. For the box part of our frame, if we go into OK, add, into patterns, basic shapes, and just put a square onto the mat. And we want to resize this square because we want to make the present frame a rectangle. So we want to change the size of that. If we go into Edit, Object Edit, and Resize, take off the aspect ratio, and we want to make the height 4.5 inches. And we want to make the width 3.25. And say OK. Before we weld the rectangle to the bow, we want a separate rectangle, so we need to just duplicate that at this point. So if you're going to duplicate +1, say OK. Let's move that down here for now. And we want to now weld both of these two to each other. So just move this down here for now. Say OK. Go into the magnifying glass. Go into 400. So from here we want to put the top of the rectangle to the very bottom of the bow. So if I tap onto there and just take that up, so that it just sits at the bottom part of that bow. There we go. So basically allow us to weld it, but we also want to center the rectangle across the bow. So if we go into OK, go into Select, Partial Select, take the mat up, say OK, OK, into the arrows, alignment, and we just want to align it horizontally, and that will put that's put the rectangle center of the bow. So then we want to say OK, OK, Object Edit, and Weld, and say OK. So that has now made the base of our frame, but we need to duplicate that. So if you're going to duplicate +1, say OK. So now we've got the second part of our frame. Now we want to create the aperture to go into one of the base frames, so that we can put our picture or photo exactly in the center. So with this rectangle here, if we move this bow okay, so now we've got the rectangle. We want to duplicate the rectangle, so go into here, +1, say OK, and we've got two rectangles the same size, but the aperture is smaller than that size because this is exactly the size as the bottom of this box, bottom of the frame, sorry. So let's change that one. So if we're going to resize, take off the aspect ratio, and we want to make the height 3.5 inches, and we want to make the width 2.25 inches, and say OK, and that will give us a 1/2 inch frame all the way around, so that we can have the picture or the photo standing proud off the back of the frame. We need to copy this size to cut out a couple of pieces of card, probably about 3 or 4 times depending on the GSM of card you're using. I found that if you've got 300 GSM, then that would sort of gives you good dimension on the frame itself. So I'm going to copy this 4 times. So if you're going to duplicate and go to 5, 4, go to 5. So we just take those up, so there, let's move them here because we need that other frame in a moment. 3 and 4. Oh, that's right, 4, and we need this frame in a moment. So then what we want to do is center this rectangle within this one. So let's move them here. Let's move this bow a little further up, highlight that rectangle, say OK, go into select, partial select, bring the mat down, OK, OK, arrows, alignment, horizontal and vertical, say OK, OK, object edit and group, and say OK. So we've got our aperture here, but we actually want to put that aperture into here. So by bringing that frame right down to the bottom of the mat, it's already aligned with this one here. So all we want to do now is take this across and have this red line exactly on this one here as we move it along. So if we go into the magnifying glass, go into 400, go to the bottom of our mat, take this across. Oops. Right, so here we can see we want to have this red line sitting exactly on top of this one here. So if we move it with our arrows, oh, did that go quick? Oh yeah, here we are. Right, so if I move that back here, so if we just move it over one by one to see that you've got it exactly, there we go. So that's sitting exactly on top of the rectangle that's part of the frame. So from here, say OK, and we want to now ungroup that. So if we go into object edit and ungroup, and that's only because if we were to leave it as it is, that red line there, if we just put them on top of there and grouped it, when it cuts, it just cut the bow straight off the top of the rectangle, so we just have two pieces rather than a frame with an aperture. So say OK here, and if we toggle, we've got our frame. Oh, it's gone through all of those. That's the bigger rectangle, and that's the aperture, but what we actually want to delete is that rectangle. So if we're going to delete, say OK, and now you can see here, if I just go into the magnifying glass here, you can see that now that will all cut as a whole frame with an aperture, but we need to group that. So if we go into select, partial select, bring the mat down, say OK, OK, object edit and group, and say OK. So here we've got, let's try and get this in some order. So we've got the base of our frame, we've got the aperture, we've got these ready to cut, so we can just stick them on top of each other to give us the depth so it stands off the back of the frame. And this is our bow to cut in our fancy papers for the ribbon look. So basically they all stick on top of each other. Then that will be stuck onto here, and that'll be stuck onto there, and that makes up our frame. And obviously the ribbon just goes, the bow just goes on top of the bow. So I'm just going to save it at this point. I'll show you what I've done. This is my layered pumpkin frame finished. It would be really nice as a banner for Halloween or for Thanksgiving. Although I have made it this size, using the ScanNCut you can make it to whichever size what works for your project. This is my present shaped frame. I'm really happy how this has turned out, and I love the dimension of the so-called aperture that sits away from the frame. It just really gives it a nice look. Just to show you the frame from the side, I have put glitter strips on the aperture part of the frame, one to cover it and also to make it look nicer. I hope this has given you some ideas of making frames for Halloween, Christmas and the holidays. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and I will see you soon.